Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to Flight of the Amazon Queen. It's been a while since I last played, but I don't suppose it's going to matter too much. I think we can figure this out. Let's see, we've got a beetle, we've got a fish. We probably don't have what we're looking for yet in this area. The most efficient way you would play, I imagine you might be trying to get the fish.
That water is really moving fast.
Yeah. Can't just pick up the fish, can we?
I don't think I have any use for that.
And we can't like use the bat on the fish.
Now
swing away. Inherently, compared to Indiana Jones's whip, the bat is probably more effective of a tool for solutions, because I could see just swinging at the fish and knocking it onto the ground and then just let it flop around until it suffocates, and then you've got a dead fish. Yeah, most efficient way to play this game would be to walk around once and know generally just which where everything is and what interactable things exist, particularly when you're talking about paths here, because it's kind of hard to tell. So here we have a vicious dinosaur, which is the gorilla, so he is going to be a reoccurring gag, as it were. But yeah, when you look at a path here, this is a path because it says it is, this apparently is a path, and then this is apparently a path, and obviously that is a path too. And I guess we could try and talk to the vicious dinosaur, but I don't think we can just convince him dinosaurs don't exist.
I don't think so. I've never seen you before in my life.
That's a costume you've got on, isn't it?
No. This is my authentic dinosaur skin. It's a little baggy because I'm starting to shed.
There's no such thing as a dinosaur.
How would you know? I bet you've never seen one before.
It's a costume. I can see the stitches.
Those aren't stitches. They're worry lines.
Notice here how there's only so much RAM that they could originally have allocated for the audio files. So there is a noticeable pause there between those aren't stitches and those are worry lines. Whereas a modern game wouldn't have any kind of problem like that. And so you could easily have entire fully animated cutscenes with a monologue going on for, I mean, pretty much forever. Like, if you had an infinite amount of hard drive space for the audio file, it could go on non-stop without any pause and just stream in the RAM, which memory swap in this day would have been considerably less optimized than what memory RAM streaming would be used in modern times. Let's see. I don't know if they ever really got to the point though with audio hardware where it can directly access like a NVMe SSD or a direct point in RAM that would constantly be filled by the CPU and streamed. That would probably be a little overkill.
If you're a dinosaur,
that has nothing really to do about this game, though. Let's not get distracted too much.
You're the gorilla I saw earlier.
No, I'm not. I'm a vicious dinosaur. Now leave me alone, or I'll be forced to eat you.
Can't eat me. Gorillas are vegetarians.
You can't eat me. Gorillas are vegetarians.
Okay, you got me. We did meet earlier. Now will you leave me alone? I've got to guard this log.
Okay. So we got him to admit he's a gorilla.
Hey, big guy. If I give you some food, will you take a hike?
No way. This is my log, and I'm staying here.
So banana doesn't work.
You don't get out of it that easy. I've got some questions that need answers.
Do you have to keep bothering me? What do you want to know?
Let's ask the first question.
Why are you wearing a pink dinosaur costume?
Because my blue chicken costume is still at the dry cleaners.
How did you do that disappearing trick before?
That's my little secret. Let me just say that it's easy to do if you don't really exist.
So I guess you could have had a fun spin here that in the crash our main protagonist hit his head and he's hallucinating the gorilla. But I don't know if that really adds realism at the expense of comedy. Like, it doesn't really change much either.
Could you teach me how to disappear?
Oh, how I wish I could. But unfortunately, I can't teach you to disappear. I can only suggest you go hide in the jungle.
Is there a reason why you're blocking my way?
It's revenge for the last time when you said I didn't exist and made me disappear.
Nice talking, but I gotta go.
Bye.
So we still don't really know what we're supposed to do here. Would be nice to generally have a
nice talking, but I gotta go.
Bye.
But yeah, they're really not giving me anything there as far as what I'm supposed to do. Interesting. So clicking on the path up here is the same as clicking on the path over here. So this entire kind of triangular area is considered a path, which that reduces the number of directions we can go, which is probably helpful. Because last thing you'd want to have happen here is that you just get completely bogged down and wandering around the forest, which ironically is exactly what a modern take on a game like this would be. And that's where we see the downfall of point and click adventures in a lot of ways, that particularly in one way that's not its fault, is the fact that if you were going to take this exact same story, there would be a knee-jerk reaction to blow the budget up and spend a lot more money and try and make it a AA or AAA game and have it be in 3D. And then 3D models come in and 3D level design comes in. So now you've blown the budget, so now you have to justify charging a much higher price because of that. So you've got to make the game longer, because inherently the only way to sort of judge how good of a game is or how much it's worth is based on its playtime. At least that's the only way gamers can really objectively agree on as a metric. So how do you make a game like this longer? You make the open world bigger. You make a forest huge. You have a bunch of grinding elements in between it. Or you have just a lot of square footage and you have a walking simulator. The rise of a walking simulator is almost certainly an evolution to what a point-and-click adventure game like this would have been, or even the escape room games that are mostly walking simulators that have a little bit of puzzles. But most people wouldn't make that connection at all. You wouldn't think a 3D escape the room style walking simulator style game would be a point and click adventure by any means, because you don't have the pointing and the clicking as prominent. You almost never have any dialogue choices in walking simulators or escape the room games, although dialogue choices get boiled down to RPG games or Telltale games back when Telltale was still a company. So yeah, you just don't get the streamlined experience that you really need in a point and click in a modern time. If these were 3D models and it was still a 2.5D level design, that would be perfectly fine if you're going to try and actually remake this game. Although I don't know if the story is really strong enough to justify remaking it. And honestly, it's probably just better to redraw at a higher resolution all the characters, which is exactly what the Secret of Monkey Island remake did. Speaking of the Secret of Monkey Island, we have monkeys, and we have Jimmy, and we have Mary Lou, and these are our missionaries bringing Christianity, I assume, to the jungle monkeys and the local natives. Let's see, there's still a lot of missionaries that go down to South America in general, and South America in general, perhaps due to interference of other countries like the United States and businesses trying to manipulate South America in a lot of ways. But yeah, South America has not greatly improved its lot in life due to any missionary efforts or anything like that. Like no agricultural food supplies, education outside of religious education is usually offered due to these types of missionaries in particular. Suffice it to say, without getting into a rant, I'm not a big fan of missionaries who leave their own location. If you really want to proselytize, I'm much more of a fan of people taking their proselytization to people that they know personally on a one-on-one basis, instead of just moving to an entirely different place and preaching to people. And that's a feeling that I think even existed back when this game was made, is that these missionary efforts usually are wasteful, not efficient, and not necessary. Anyways, let's look at the monkey. I've got a lot to rant on today, apparently.
Boy. That little fella has one mean bite. Hey there, little fella.
I wouldn't get too close to him. He hasn't had his shot yet.
How adorable. He'd make a great pet.
Oh yeah? Do you know how much it costs to feed a monkey? You can
very slow talking
Don't
guy.
listen to him. He's our favorite monkey, and he is staying right here.
So he kind of looks like an Australian guy with the hat, almost like this is a reference to Indiana Jones's fedora too. And then you've got Mary Lou has a nail file, and she's wearing big hoop gold earrings, tons of makeup, and big gold bracelets. And from the looks of it, it seems all we can do is talk to these people.
Hi, I'm Joe King.
Howdy, boy. The name's Jimmy Cook. Welcome to our humble mission. It's our own slice of heaven.
I guess we'll just go through all the lines of dialogue. It seems like we're going to have to do a lot of this.
Do you know where I can find a phone?
That's a tough one. The only place I can think of is Loda Leader Hosen Factory. You can find them over beyond the pinnacle.
This looks more like a zoo than a mission.
Hey, I happen to like animals. In my spare time, I'm a zoologist. Last month I studied sloth. This month I'm studying monkeys.
I suppose if you're going to expose this bottom part and show more of the picture, it might be nice if there's something funny always here. Although that would just be an opportunity for more jokes and more gags and more visual gags. I feel like there's definitely room for more of that. When I walk into a scene like this, there should be something that immediately grabs my eye as, oh, that's funny.
Do the monkeys have names?
Well, they sure do. This one here is called Bonzo. The one in the middle is Cheetah. And the one in the pirate is called Bubbles.
I wonder if Bubbles is a reference to Michael Jackson's monkey. Probably. Thinking of the time frame.
What exactly is a sloth?
A sloth is a tree-climbing mammal found in Central and South America. They're slow-moving, hairy, and have little or no teeth.
So we saw a sloth before, so we can have a comedic response. That sounds a lot like my grandfather. But perhaps we should go with what do they eat if they have no teeth.
What do they eat if they have no teeth?
Well, they eat stuff that doesn't require chewing. The species in the jungle has a particular liking for sweet nectar.
So that seems to give us a hint as far as what we're supposed to do with that sloth.
That sounds a lot like my grandfather.
Your grandfather climbs trees?
I never
but there's really no response to the response.
Once you begin studying them, find it hard to stop. Truly God's finest creations.
I think I know enough sloths.
You can never know enough.
There might be a bit of an evolution here in comedy in general, because you're having a one-on-one conversation. You would have the joker and then the straight man, as it were, somebody who takes everything literally and seriously to the joke response. So when he says that sounds a lot more like my grandfather, he just, as the straight man goes, your grandfather climbs trees, ? Whereas I would say comedy has probably evolved more to three-way conversations, in that you would have the joker, the straight man sometimes, and then the hype man who would potentially punctuate a joke or say something more funny. Like in that joke example, that sounds a lot like my grandfather. Your grandfather climbs trees. The hype man, which could have been our assistant, says something along, no, he's hairy on everywhere except for his butt, and that would potentially be the follow-up joke for a more heightened experience to get more jokes out per second. Now you could do that with a two-person conversation, in that he would say, that sounds like my grandfather, and then the straight man would just go, in what way? And then you would just have joking saying he's hairy everywhere except for his butt. You could certainly do it with two people, but the difference here clearly is in the amount of writing and the amount of comedy they're trying to put into it. And yes, those comedic points are going to get in the way of actually playing the game and going through all these dialogue choices, but two sentences instead of one is not a big sacrifice.
Why do you have a mission in the Amazon jungle?
Why not? It's just as good as any other place. The rent's cheap, weather's nice, and the place is brimming with natives who need spiritual guidance.
Are you giving these monkeys guidance?
Monkeys are people too. They've got feeling. They have beliefs. So what if they got IQs less than 50? We're used to that.
So we're going to come back with animal questions.
Sure thing. Fire away.
Whenever we need them.
Does Mary Lou help you in your animal research?
Nope, I'm afraid not. She's
very
more
slow.
concerned with manicuring science.
Turn to look at her and go, nope.
Oh, bless you, my son.
Now, another point to ask, certainly in any game, is what is the value in adding a couple more characters in one more scene and having a bunch of monkeys here? We'll want to see what the payoff is there. I doubt we're going to end up with a big cross that we need to use to cross a bridge or put in a gear mechanism or anything like that. Or gold. We're just getting a nail file, and then it looks like we're going to need multiple nail files. Let's talk to Mary Lou. That's pretty much all we can do.
Hi there. My name's Joe.
Howdy, Joe. I'm Mary Lou Cook. My husband Jimmy and I run this mission.
Who did you set the mission up for? Those monkeys.
Oh, very funny. We were trying to teach the native pygmies, but they ran away.
You can hear a real tinniness in some of the dialogue spoken by this character. I have to assume that their microphones were just not working as well as they should when they recorded her lines.
Why did the pygmies run away?
I don't know. I began singing when they suddenly up and left. Listen. All things great and beautiful. Excuse me. Well, that wasn't too bad, was it?
By modern professional audio standards, almost certainly all of these lines of dialogue are heavily compressed into a lower frequency range, probably somewhere between, I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere as high as 1 kilohertz at the bottom and as low as 18 kilohertz at the top. But yeah, also it would just be a pretty low frequency, very likely mono, when you're trying to fit all of that onto a CD-ROM. If you compare a CD-ROM in general of audio alone and no video data or computer game programming data, you would get somewhere between 60 and 80 minutes of audio on there. So every line of dialogue, if it's a minute long, even that much, would be cutting into that potential 80 minutes of space. And you probably don't have 80 minutes. You probably have closer to 40 minutes of space. Let's see. You do see in a lot of these point-and-click adventure games an option where you can be nice or you can be mean. But it seems here you can only be different styles of nice.
Believe me, I say you have a unique voice.
Wow, thank you. Well, I hope they come back soon.
I guess the question is, we're still trying to really get a feel of what Joe King is as a character. He seems kind of like a little bit too much of a lovable adventurer guy. You don't want him to come off as a jerk and be too rude. I think Indiana Jones suffers from that in his movies, as he comes off as too smart, too much of a show off, and so he does come off rude sometimes as a character. But you also don't want your main character and your main protagonist to be a pushover.
Where have the pygmies gone?
Well, they joined the rest of the pygmies at Trader Bob's. That scallywag is always scalping our converts.
We are getting lines of dialogue here that are pointing us in different directions.
Are you guys qualified teachers?
Of course we are. We spent 17 years in Arkansas teaching Sunday school.
What you teach there? Grizzly bears?
Now you're being silly. Teaching grizzly bears? Heck no. We taught raccoons.
How did you talk to the pygmies?
I just used my English to Pygmy dictionary.
Can I have a look at the dictionary?
You know, I'd love to let you have a look. But it's
So that's what we're looking for.
I have, and I can't risk losing it.
Where can I get a dictionary?
The only place that sells them is the New Age Native Healing Crystal Awareness Bookshop. But that's back in Venezuela.
I'll swap you.
So we finally figured out what our goal is.
You got swap.
I got a really neat baseball bat.
I've already got a baseball bat. In fact, it's been autographed by Lou Gehrig.
I'm not sure that's how you pronounce Lou Gehrig.
Man, he's my hero. I'd love to buy it off you.
Don't be ridiculous. I'd never part with my lucky bat. Besides, it's in storage back in the States.
Shoot.
Mind your language, please.
Thanks for your time.
That's okay. I enjoyed talking to you.
A little too much back and forth when it's just fully automated.
Stupid nail almost blunt.
So now it looks like we're looking for multiple nail files, or we're going to use the nail file multiple times. It may be a case that Lou Gehrig had not announced that he had Lou Gehrig's disease, which they renamed to Lou Gehrig's disease when he either announced he had it or died from it. So this does kind of just feel like it's a genuine, they picked a famous baseball player. See if we can just stab the fish in the air.
I don't want to cut that.
Now, in part because I have taken a break since I last played this game, I am in danger of forgetting some stuff. So we've looked at the jungle. Let's look at the jetty, and then the Florida location. I imagine the Florida location might put us on a better path towards overall solutions. There may be some gatekeeping happening where you have to go to the Lederhosen company before you can start the second act effectively of the game, or start solving the puzzles in the first act.
Back later, ferryman. That's not a flag. It's a tea towel from the pirate ride at Disneyland. Why the heck would I want that?
So it doesn't seem like we can do anything here.
I don't think they need that.
So we have one area that basically has nothing, and that seems like that's going to lead us to another area, probably the secret base of the Amazonians, if I would guess. And then we have a small reason to go back to the crash site after we check out this location. So it's literally just a gate that you can walk through.
It's full of nectar.
Okay, we did one sweet nectar, so we'll pick up some flowers. Look at the guard dog.
He doesn't look happy.
Let's see if he likes some beef jerky. Make some friends.
No way. It ain't Christmas yet. Easy boy. I'll just be on my way.
So instead of him like guarding
the
the entire area, they literally are just guarding this one door, which is definitely not what I was expecting. It was just a generic side of a wall and a shack and a door, and then you have this, but when I hover over this, there's nothing there, and that's what you want to really avoid as far as a point and click, is to have something that visually stands out but you can't actually interact with. Same is kind of true with the rocks, if we needed a rock, although it'd be kind of silly to need a rock in any video game, because there'd just be rocks everywhere almost always. There's some mannequins.
These mannequins are wearing laser hoses.
Can't do anything with the sign. We can pick up the pencil. She's just stamping everything.
Okay.
Stamping everything with a black bar 0 on it. Let's just see if we can walk to the door.
Hey, you! Hold it right there! You can't just wander where you want to. What are you doing here?
I was wondering if you could help me.
That depends. What do you want?
Let's see. Let's ask if we can use the phone.
Do you have a phone that I could use?
I'm sorry, but we don't have a telephone.
There's a telephone right there.
What's that on your desk? An alarm clock?
Har. You're a real comedian. That phone happens to be out of order. And the repair
It is weirdly
for another day.
drawn here in that the wire connecting to the handset of this old-fashioned phone doesn't seem to really connect to the handset. Instead, you seem to have 2 loops of wire just connected to the base. Maybe it's supposed to just imply that this wire is connecting to that.
I'm curious. What are you guys doing in the jungle?
We have a later factory. We make later hoses export to Europe. Who are you anyway? Are you the fumigator?
My question certainly would be, where are you sourcing the leather in the Amazon? Like, it's really not the environment to be raising a lot of cows to potentially kill the cows for leather. I could see growing cows in like North America and then shipping it all the way down to South America for extremely cheap labor, but that would still be really crazy to just then assemble the clothes and the lederhosen in South America to ship it all around the world. Weirdly though, that is basically how a lot of stuff is getting assembled and manufactured these days. It has just become extremely cheap, almost free, to put something on a boat and ship across the world, have it assembled at pennies for labor because of it being in China or some low-paying country, and then ship it back as a finalized product back to, say, the United States to sell at a high profit. Let's go ahead and lie and say we are the fumigator, but he'll probably say, I need equipment, and then we'll probably need the vacuum machine.
Yes, ma'am, I'm the fumigator.
So that's my guess.
Security reasons. I need some proof that you are who you say you are. May I see your equipment?
You have a joke response?
That's a bit personal, isn't it?
You don't show me your spray pack. I can't let you in.
I left it in my car.
Well, don't just stand there. Go get it.
Okay. So it doesn't seem like we can push a light switch either.
Hey, I told you already. No one is allowed back there.
Sorry.
So anyways, seems to me like I know what we're doing here.
It looks like some sort of door lock.
Let's go ahead and see what happens if we use the wall panel.
Keep your mitts off that.
Can't do anything? Okay. So that gives us a general idea of what we're going for here, at least to some level. We're going to go back to the crash site. Ooh, and then I'm going to have to remember how to go there. Now I just tried to double click to the edge of the path to see if fast travel was enabled in this game. It is not, so they are going to waste some of your time, certainly, having you walk through empty areas. We may be relying fairly heavily on give puzzle solutions.
Well, Sparky, I've been all over the jungle, and I finally found you a copy of Commander Rocket. Here. Thanks, Joe. Now, as a reward, you can give me one of your files. Joe. Yes. Someone put the coupon from the back page. Yeah. So. Well, it's not exactly mint condition, is it? Sparky, it's a comic crying out loud. But I'm a comic book collector. It has to be in mint condition. Otherwise, it's worthless. I don't believe this. No offense, Joe. But I might get a new copy when we get back home. You can keep this one. I don't want the stupid comic. I want a file. Oh, you can have that too. Finally. Next time you can get your own comics.
Honestly, though, old comics are rarely in mint condition, and were rarely kept in mint condition.
What is enough for one day?
So, I think it is a misnomer to try and collect comics and have it in mint condition. The way people normally would do that is, first of all, you would buy it bagged and boarded, pre-bagged and boarded probably, by your comic book shop or the distributor. And even then, it being damaged and shipping is probably a high chance there. Just being shipped from the printing factory to the... Let's go to the jungle. I think that's the next place to go. To the storefront. It could be damaged in there. But yeah, you would buy 2 or 3 copies, and the bagged and boarded mint condition one would be never opened from being in a bag and having a cardboard backing. That's what bagged and boarded means. But honestly, it's really unnecessary, because the idea and concept of collecting comic books for any real profit, or it being in perfect condition, is kind of just a ridiculous concept that was played up and sold to comic book fans when, meanwhile, back at the crash light. So we're making progress anytime.
I wonder what Joe is doing right now. Probably something exciting.
This is probably supposed to be more funny than I feel like it really is. But yeah, for the most part, a few hours later, comic books are never going to have that much of a value to them. In issue 1 of a series that somehow magically became super popular 30-40 years after the issue 1 was released might have some value, but that's almost certainly not going to happen for anything published by DC or Marvel, because there's too many people who think they're going to get rich on comic books when they really won't. The only reason comic books have really any value is because they so I needed the hair to get the scissors to get the hair of the three-toed sloth. I bet.
Climbing mammal. I guess talking to Jimmy wasn't such a waste of time after all.
Like, we're not just gonna stab him.
I don't want to hurt him.
So we solved half the puzzle, but not the other half. We need the hair of the three-toed sloth. I don't know why we specifically need the hair, though. I don't know why there's so many files in this game.
No thanks. I've grown attached to it.
Yeah, comic books have value because in the 1940s and 50s, when Superman, or Action Comics number 16 introduced Superman, I think it was number 16, nobody kept those comics. They were probably selling for somewhere around the nickel, and it was thought of as something very disposable. But on top of that, you have to have a real nostalgia. So you had to go from like the 1940s or 50s of Action Comics number 16 all the way to the year 2000, where people are very, very old and nostalgic for things of their youth, potentially. If people didn't care about Superman still, they wouldn't have really been nostalgic of it. There's plenty of other types of entertainment for kids that came out around the time of Action Comics number 16, but nobody has nostalgic for it, so it is just kind of lost to history.
Good. I'm so glad that we've come to some agreement.
Okay, so we give her a file.
It's an English translation
So now we can talk to the other pygmies. Which, pygmy is probably a slur by modern standards. Although I don't know if you call them natives, if that would be considered any better. Alright. I guess the real question is, what's the fastest way to get back to the pinnacle? This forked branch area that has nothing else going on for it seems unnecessary to exist.
That doesn't seem to work.
Let's go and talk to this guy now that we can talk to him.
Hello again, Chatterbox. I gotta go.
This is the guy that doesn't talk to you, so we can't do anything with that. Let's see.
That doesn't seem to work.
Let's talk to the witch doctor.
I'm Joe King. You must be the witch doctor.
That's correct.
I guess for convenience, they're just translating it all to English.
What are you doing?
I mean, this really looks like a monster more than a human. It's so crooked. I'm not even sure if this is supposed to be a lady or a man. I assume a lady, but it's hard to tell.
Can I help you make some potions?
So I guess we're getting little bits of information, but not much.
Could you make me a rash cure?
Do we really need a rash cure?
Well, I need the following ingredients. The head is a slow-moving climber.
Okay. No idea. No idea.
That's it. Bring them to me, and have you stuck no time.
But for my friend.
Yeah. Whatever you say.
Thanks for the information.
I'm to be of assistance.
So we know now we're looking for ingredients for a rash cure. I don't know who we need to give the rash cure to yet.
Do you cast spells on people? And ruin their lives?
Hey, I'm
I've got a joke. Let's go with that.
I got a joke. What's the difference between a lab rat and a lawyer?
I don't know.
Science for a task, lab rat.
The upbeat music here getting kind of in the way of the lines of dialogue. And I guess in a more modern game, if you didn't have the dialogue choices, you could have had all the lines of dialogue written and it could play out as a more natural conversation, even if it was kind of more of a comedic skit in the way the conversation flowed, instead of having us to choose things and then always giving us the option to skip a lot of dialogue. You definitely wouldn't be getting your money's worth in a point-and-click adventure game if you skipped a significant amount of the dialogue, or just using a walkthrough to click on all the right choices exclusively.
You must be a very busy person.
You can say that again.
You must be a very busy person.
Will you stop saying that?
Sorry. You seem to really love your work.
You bet I do.
I'm not sure if we're going to find anything out with this line of dialogues.
That's what being a winner is all about.
Don't you get holidays?
I have come in once a month. Apart from that, I get usually like great card,
Well, let me going now.
The Happy Sloth Day being another hint. But yeah, this is a real poor area to have the music playing that loud while also talking. It would make a lot of sense for the audio to fade down. In fact, for a comedy point-and-click adventure, it'd make a lot of sense for the first conversation you ever had in the game to have Joe King say, turn down the music, or break the fourth wall and talk to the orchestra and say, hey, bring it down when I'm talking to people. There really aren't
Hello, I'm Joe King.
that many point-and-click adventure games I even know of, that, let alone ones that are exclusively trying to be a parody. A lot of them try to be funny in small spots, but generally try to lean more into the adventure and action aspects. Which, of course, a point-and-click adventure game is going to be low on action, because you're just not going to have the gameplay mechanics for that.
That statue behind you, is it an original?
You bet it is. It was carved by one of my great ancestors. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's very unique. What's it meant to be?
It represents the gods that have visited us throughout time. They came from the heavens in canoes bearing gifts for my people.
He's got a baseball bat. It's interesting also when you have a response that is just forced upon you and you take control away from the player in these conversation points.
What sort of gift did the gods bring you?
All sorts of things. Like Velcro, liquid soap, keyrings that beat when you clap, and banana flavored jelly in a tube. That was yummy.
look like that statue there?
No, not at all. Apparently they're much uglier.
So at some point we're probably going to pretend to be a god with a baseball bat and a weird mask.
Have you ever met any of these gods?
Not personally. They are due to visit again for another 2 years.
Thanks for the tribal history lesson. I feel smarter already.
My pleasure.
In a more modern game, too, when you have these kinds of conversations, you would probably see a quest pop up somewhere. It would make a lot of sense to say, new quest added, find the gods, or investigate the gods more. Or new quest added, find leaves, or sloth, or whatever the description of the ingredients are. Then having a menu where you could go back and look at your quests would be fairly helpful too.
What's the name of your tribe, Chief?
Where the heck are we?
How the heck should I know? I just crashed here.
That's a old, I believe F-Troop joke. F-Troop being a old TV show, comedy TV show where it was Indians and cowboys basically. And the Indian tribe was called the Where the Heck Are We's.
I've read about you guys in National Enquirer.
It was an honest mistake. We were young. We were naive. We were in love. We were witty with joy. We were drunk. Besides, she never said she was a governor.
Did I say National Enquirer? I meant National Geographic.
Yeah, right. Of course. Just forget what I said.
Nice talking, Chief.
That's a joke that requires National Enquirer and National Geographic to still exist, and for people to be familiar with it. This is definitely a game that seems to be more targeted towards adults, because that's the kind of reference that just wouldn't make sense to kids, and it definitely would make more sense to say in the tabloids, but the joke only makes sense if you do accidentally say National Enquirer instead of National Geographic. Let's see what's in this album.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was empty.
Let's see.
The reading room. There's some graffiti on the door.
He doesn't even check the door.
Here.
Interesting. Now the problem I think that we're running into here is we don't have any money to buy anything, and we need to buy the net. At some point we're probably going to buy the bottles. We very well won't buy too much of anything. We may buy the alcohol here and not these bottles.
Rose. I think that's castor oil.
We need to buy the vacuum cleaner. So let's go talk to Trader Bob and see if we can maybe sell the comic book.
Bob. What can I do for you? I've got some questions I'd like to ask. What do you want to know?
Let's see. Guess we can ask these questions, but they very well may not add any information.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Yeah, I think we've already asked all those questions.
Would you have a phone I could use? Sorry. The only phone in the village is broken. Could I have a look at it? I might be able to repair it.
I don't think so. You see, the witch tried fixing it already. She set fire to it to chase out these demons. It hasn't been the same since.
I guess I'll try somewhere else.
I guess so. Sorry about that.
Nice shot. Did you decorate it yourself?
I had help from Naomi over there. She's got a real knack for interior decorating.
Let's just go with something.
She sure is. And before you go the ideas, I'd just like to say that my girlfriend.
Does she live here?
No. She lives in a house with her dad, Chief.
Do all the villagers look like her?
No, not all of them. Some of them are men.
Thanks for telling me about Naomi.
That's okay.
I think I'll browse.
Let me know.
So we've exhausted all the dialogue. I guess the question here maybe to give comic book to Trader Bob.
It ain't Christmas yet.
Alright, well let's just try and pick up the vacuum cleaner. What do we need for this?
Excuse me. How much is this thing here?
That thing is a vacuum cleaner, son. And I'm afraid that costs more than you can afford.
We need a net.
Excuse me. I'd like to buy this.
I'm sorry, but those are special customers only. They are not for sale.
Sorry. Excuse me. I'd like to buy this alcohol.
Sure thing, son. May I see your ID, please?
ID?
Yeah, ID.
Yeah, we need an ID.
Son.
I left it at home.
I'm sorry, boy. No ID, no alcohol.
It's the Commander rocket. It can reach speeds of up to 100 miles an hour and runs on just a gallon of gas. It's got no flint.
So we got the translation dictionary, and that told us something, but it's not telling me exactly what I need to do. We talked to all these people, and I think we may very well end up just having to talk to everybody and try every item on everything. Like, unless we're supposed to go back to the plane and get our ID, which doesn't seem like that's the answer. And then there's just nothing here on this scene. The problem here is you definitely have a lot of branching paths that are eventually going to merge into one full solution for the entire game, but right now it's just a lot of different ways you can go. Let's see if we give this to Sparky. Maybe he'll start building this.
Commander Rocket collectible. See? Do you want it?
No thanks, Joe. I've got every piece of Commander Rocket paraphernalia you could imagine.
Alright, let's just talk to Sparky.
Hi, Joe. What can I do for you? I gotta go now.
I'll just stay here.
Let's see. Use bat on perfume.
Now ain't the time to be playing baseball.
Use knife on perfume.
I don't want to cut that.
Use beef jerky on perfume.
That doesn't seem to work.
Use lighter.
I'm a pilot for hire, not a maniac.
I'm not sure even what we would be burning. seems to me like we can go back into the airplane. But I don't know what we're looking for. Look at the duffel bag.
I don't see anything special.
Pick up a duffel bag.
It's too big to carry. I'll leave it here.
Look at crates.
These crates are made out of rainforest timber.
Use lighter on crates.
I'm a pilot for hire, not a pyromaniac.
Use bat on crates.
Now ain't the time to be playing baseball.
Use knife on crates.
I don't want to cut that.
Look at what
it looks pretty bad.
Use knife on.
I don't want to cut that.
Pick up.
Why the heck would I want that?
Pick up crates.
Why the heck would I want that?
Yeah, I think we've just gotten everything here on this section.
What a ride.
So let's look at the perfume.
That is certainly brighten up any girl's day.
Let's move perfume.
I can't move it.
We can't pick it up.
I put my arm in water's enough times for one day.
We can't talk to Sparky, so obviously we're in the wrong area. News. Nothing else here. Unless I'm supposed to cut the support rope for some reason. I may very well just have to look up a walkthrough. Because, like, the conversation with the pygmies characters, now that we can talk to them, would imply that we are going for the items that were listed. Something shocking like a bee, which we haven't seen any bees at all, and something from like this volcano, and that just all seems like that is something that we would interact with later. Is there something else possibly over here? There's a jungle section and there's a jungle section, so we'll click way over here. Let's see. Open waterfall. See if there's something secret behind the waterfall.
It doesn't seem to open.
Walk to waterfall. Doesn't seem an option. Look at fish.
It looks like a rare thin Amazon trout, probably.
Look at beetle.
That pretty body has that fish jumping.
Let's look at the lighter.
It's got no flint.
Okay, so we couldn't even use the lighter if we wanted to. So the only people we really haven't interacted with lately would be these two. Let's talk to Skip and Bob, I guess.
Hello again.
Howdy, Joe.
I see you've got a new comic. Is it any good?
It's terrific. It's the Commander Rocket Summer Special. It's got Commander Rocket fighting the evil Captain Atomic. Sorry, but I've only got one copy.
How are things in this part of the jungle?
Yeah, pretty quiet. Not much has happened since we last spoke.
That comic you gave me
So
really exciting.
doesn't sound like there's anything new
like
here.
It's definitely one of my all-time favorite Commander Rocket stories.
At least not from this guy. Let's see. Which one of these would actually be helpful?
It's not as Commander Rocket Rio.
That was a great story. But I think this one is better. The way he gets the rocket pack to work is genius.
I gotta go.
See you later.
So this character clearly is just in existence to remind you about the rocket pack puzzle, which we're not even anywhere close to that. Like we don't have anything that looks like a full nozzle fuel tank or exhaust.
100 miles an hour and runs on just a gallon of gas.
Let's talk to Bud and see if he's got anything to say.
Hi, Joe.
This is the guy that needs the rash.
How's your rash?
Sure.
Got it. I tell you, a rash cure in this jungle would be money. Well, I'll keep an eye out for one. Thanks for talking. See ya. Talk to you later.
So that reminds me of what we need to do. We need to get the rash cure ingredients. So let me see if maybe I don't need scissors and I can just grab some air and rip it out of the three-toed sloth.
Too big to carry. I'll leave it here.
So we need the scissors. We need the perfume. So then the question becomes, how do we get the perfume? Seems like we need the net. So how do we become a special customer? Get the net.
Hello again.
It's all gatekeeping around one thing.
Nice talking
to this guy.
Bye.
Doesn't seem like it's gonna do anything. I wouldn't be surprised if we get something like disappearing ink and throw it on the guy.
Howdy, Jim.
The gorilla.
Well, yeah. Welcome back, holy little humble.
Like, they are doing impressions
Nice
of
talking to you.
specific
Bless you, my son.
people, creatures.
Hello, Mary Lou. I just wanted to thank you for the Pygmy Dictionary.
That's okay. I really appreciate my new nail file.
Isn't the nail file a bit big for you?
Nonsense. It's just the right size. I've got long nails.
I'm curious. Why did you?
There is actual dialogue here, so we should go through all of this.
I always like to help people. In fact, we spent a good deal of our time in Arkansas working the homeless. Particularly homeless raccoons.
So why did you leave Arkansas to come here?
Well, we reached stage where we needed to move on, both spiritually and physically. Jimmy heard that folk were needed to teach the natives.
So that's when you decided to take up a missionary position?
That's right. We packed up and moved in here, ready to educate the local pygmies. And we haven't looked back since.
There's a double entendre there, but honestly, if they were going to do double entendres throughout the game, they should have probably done it a lot more.
Don't you ever get sick of living in this jungle?
Not really. Jimmy and I used to live in Little Rock, Arkansas, but we got tired of the busy city life. This place makes for quite change.
I had no idea that Arkansas was such a happening place.
Compared to here it is.
I gotta go now.
Goodbye, Joe.
we are very abruptly just kind of wrapping up all the conversation points, and it would be nice if each character could point us back in the right direction as far as where we should go. Or if the game itself would just have Joe say, I should go check out the shop. Because effectively that's where I think we're supposed to be, is that I think there is a dialogue choice that is supposed to be happening at the shop. And this whole Yeti part, I don't think we're gonna do anything with this until we really
back later, ferryman.
Yeah, this is really gonna be our transition to Act 2, I suspect. Yeah, it definitely comes down to either I did not have enough of a conversation with this guy, or did not have enough of a conversation with the witch doctor, or did not have a conversation enough with Trader Bob. We could talk to Naomi.
Hello, Naomi.
Hello, Joe. What can I do for you?
Let's see.
I'm interested in some merchandise.
Which merchandise in particular?
Let's see. The vacuum cleaner thing.
I'm interested in vacuum cleaner thingy.
A lot of people need for it hefty pack. But it's definitely vacuum cleaner. It's got built-in battery, and it's on sale one day only.
What's with the barber chair out front?
That's my hair salon. I make 45 except I don't get my skills much. The only people want around here are bowl cuts.
Let's see.
There's nothing wrong.
This is the same line of dialogue we've already had.
But I would like to try something different every now and again.
It has family tradition.
So we're just going through
My grandfather
dialogue we've already seen.
If you know what I mean. Until he ran out of customers.
Certainly getting the exact responses and dialogue over and over again.
I'm really about it.
I think I'll look around.
Okay.
Unless we're supposed to talk to Wedgwood.
Hello. I'd like to talk, but I gotta fly. Howdy, Bob.
Well, give it one more chance here.
I've got some questions that I'd like to ask. What do you want to know? What sort of things do you sell?
I sell all sorts of things. Some of them are only for special customers. What are you interested in?
Let's see. Here's the question. How do I get to become a special customer?
How do I get to be a special customer?
I generally reward my really customers with special status. If you want to special, do something to impress me.
I think I'll browse.
Let me know if you find something you like.
See, and that's just not really helpful. So I think we pretty much are going to have to look up a walkthrough in between this episode and the next episode, because I have no idea what the solution is.
I've got some jerky. Would you like some?
You bet I would. I'll pay for it.
It's okay. You can have it for free.
No, I insist. Here, have some money.
Gee, thanks.
No, thank you.
So now we have money.
I'm rich.
So now can I purchase the net? No,
Excuse me. I'd like to
I still need to be a special customer.
Sorry, but those are special customers only. They are not for sale.
Sorry.
So then we can only get this.
Excuse me. I'd like to buy this thing.
That thing is a vacuum cleaner, son. It's actually an experimental self-powered model.
Self-powered?
It's got a built-in battery or something. It'd be worth a fortune in the city, but it's useless here in the jungle.
Well, I'm sure I can find a use for it. Here's some money.
It's all yours, son. Nice doing business with you.
Hey, no problem.
And I guess that's probably a great highlight of just the problem you can run into point-and-click adventures. I think particularly when you have the icon so big here and that beef jerky and other items are just not going to always be up front and center. Like, let's see, how many items do we have? If we start at the notebook, there's 3 more items, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. There's 9 items, and only 4 of them are shown at any one time. Which that's definitely a lot. Like, no surprise that you potentially are not going to be able to figure out what to do, and the solution there is arguably too straightforward with no hints at all. Like, this guy never says, "Boy, I'm hungry." It would make a lot of sense for him in his idle animation to go, "Boy, I'm hungry." We never really did. I've never seen a point-and-click adventure game with like a thought bubble above the head, or a speech bubble above the head, but something like that may very well work. Of course, when you get into more RPG games, you'll see quest givers with exclamation points above their head to point out that this is a person looking for something. But yeah, we were getting very close there to not being able to progress in the game. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, there's some links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.